Man, I got a lot of boxes and packages I got to go through yet today. But I got to get back to work. I got to give me some shit going on here. Take that note off. Take this note off to protect the innocent. Okay. We're going to go through this little guy here today. This is an Xforce T400. And this might have been when, I don't know if Chad's been in this or not. Donkey Stomper's been in this or not. No, this is, yes. Yes, he's been here. Let's see here. Let's get rid of that. Let's see what we got going on. So it says it's biased for sideband, supposedly, but it's a Class C amp. Let's flick the little auto switch on the focus knob there. So it's got 5 waters in it, but this transistor is popped. And what this guy wants me to do is go through, repair it, and upgrade it. So do some power wire upgrades on it and stuff, and then we're going to check some other things, but man, these transformers are just not soldered together very well. So here's our brass tube, and we can see our plate. I mean, as many people has been inside this thing. I can't believe nobody noticed that the tube on this side's floating in free space. Huh. Well, that means this transformer's got to come out. We got to take this section apart and figure out what the heck's going on here anyhow. We definitely smoked a pill, but that in itself's not a big deal. Of course, that means we got to pull both these transistors out, and we got to beta gain whatever one that we put in here to, you know, it's gain matched with that one. Let's see, what are the notes that are on this side? Burnt KFT. This is back in 9/20 of, yeah, on 9/20/2015. Pair of 2879s. Burnt output combiner resistor. Left final. That would be this transistor. So we've had a known problem here. And they put a pair back in here. So this is a known problem child. All right, well, so the notes there say, then written here on the back of the cabinet, it says fan. Fan. Well, let's rip it apart. Let's, this is a big deal. This, I mean, I can stick my thumb down in between that. This is a big deal. So let's pull this out, which means we got to take all this apart back here. I want to check the output cap, and I have a feeling that there's probably a piece of shit underneath the transistor, and that's why it keeps popping that back one. But of course, we'll check this cap once we get this transformer off. Let's just tear into it. Let's see what we find. Get this bit of paper towel out of here. It's kind of like a porn star with a clump of toilet paper on her thing. Okay, so it just blows me away that so many people were inside this one amp and they never spotted this one flaw with this transformer. Now, I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, but this is all cracked all the way through here. All the way around here is all cracked. This is all cracked up except for this one little point right about here. What that means is that tube is not making contact with the plate. So we're letting this one little joint do all the work of carrying the voltage and the current for the transistor, plus the RF that's moving through this mess. Now, it gets even better. That whole joint was never even soldered. And this here, now that I've got it out and got it cleaned up, is all cracked except for here. So we've got a solder joint from about here to here. So a total of about that much space. Whoa, where are you going, camera? Whoa, there we go. Reached up to move the monitor so I can see what I'm pointing at. That is making contact from there to there. The rest of this is cracked or broken. And it doesn't get any better when we look at the backside. Backside, once again, this is all cracked and broken, and this isn't even soldered. This is cracked here, but there's a good joint. It's about here. Right about there, that much of it. This side is the repeat of the same. This is all cracked and separated. Cold solder joint, except for right about here. So, let me get my phone out. I want to take a picture of that, because I think I might make this the pic for the video. I can't believe with all the people that have been inside this, with all the stickers that have been on it. That nobody caught this. I'm not saying that's the reason it's not working and that it keeps popping that pill. I think this is something else. That's something else, but okay. Let's see if we can fix this up a little bit. So we're going to take some liquid flux. We're going to let it soak in there for a minute because we really want it to get underneath the rings of the joint. This thing is old. Old, old, old. All right. Let's clean our soldering iron up a little bit. I'm not going to heat up the solder pot for one freaking transformer. So, focus. 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 Come on, I just want to show the people what we did. Wow. I love this camera, but I hate this camera in the same breath. Okay, there we go. So now we're actually soldered all the way around. We got a good connection on the joint. Now let's fix up the backside. Drop it in the liquid flux. Let that soak in for a couple seconds. Give it a good shake. Eating a smoke, which is probably going to lead to cognitive disability, which means I'll probably end up having Alzheimer's, and I'll be like, what? Yep. Yep. Probably going to die of lead poisoning or lung cancer from this or the cigarettes and all those years I smoked. Okay. All right. So okay. Solder jointed. Good and clean. Good and clean. So that makes me worry or kind of curious about the other joints in the amp. So let's go take a look. Slide this aside and let it cool off for a minute. They're soldered, but it's just crap, man. I don't know who made these transformers, but they were having an off day when they put these together. That's all I'm going to say. If the camera will ever decide to focus, I'm going to pull this one out and reflow it as well. So as we can clearly see, we have the same phenomenon going here. This is all broken. I mean, this is the side that doesn't have the problem, but it might. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to reflux this, reflow this. And we still have yet to even try and figure out what's going on over here. We're just, to me, I couldn't let this go out of here like that. Because my name's going to be on the box. I'm going to own it forever, right? As far as the repair goes. The small little things. This take maybe 15, 20 minutes to fix. Oh well, I'm going to do her to it, and I'm not going to make you guys sit here and watch me do it, so hold on, we'll be back looking at other stuff in a second. Just got done shooting some Patreon exclusive content. It's over there in a computer rendered at the moment, but it's time for me to jump back onto this guy. Let me lock the camera down. So I went and washed out the pill pockets. I just went and washed the actual unit itself. I just wanted to get all the copious layers of thermal compound out of the way. And I wanted to come in and capture what I found in this outside pill pocket. This is after spooshing it down with 91% rubbing alcohol. There is a big burr that is right here on that hole. Down in here, I'll push this big old flake of solder out in the middle of the pill pocket. Because that's where it started out at. That is what was sitting underneath this. And that is what was keeping between the the bird that's here, and that flick of shit is what was keeping the transistor from sitting flat on the heatsink. Fact. So I'm sure it'd run for a hot little minute. That is your problem. That little flake of solder has been sitting in that thermal compound, causing everything to sit not flush on the heatsink. I checked this cap, it's good, this cap is good, and this cap is good. It's all good. But that little tiny bit of shit is what's been causing all your problems. So now I'll go in here and I'm going to chase this with a deburring bit real quick. And I'm going to run a pick all the way around the outside edge, and then I'm going to run a Q-tip through everything. Then we can reassemble this whole mess. I can rewrap the output transformers. I'm going to replace the burn-up 10 ohm, new balancing resistor, new power wires, that whole thing. So, no problems. Who knows how long that pile of shit's been sitting in there? That little fucking flake of shit is just enough to ruin your whole day. So this is our good one, and it's got a gain of 27. Okay. This one we know is bad. We'll test it anyhow. Dead. No component detected. Okay, so we know that I need to find a 2879 with an HFE gain of 27, 26, or 28, or 24. High 20s is what we're shooting for here. So we're going to set that one aside just in case the customer wants it back. I got to clean that one up, and let's find another transistor. Gain of 27. Well, hell. Bend that up out of the way. Okay, so this is all back together. Every cap's all tested. Little power wire upgrades on the driver's section and on the final section. Now we got to be careful what we do with our power wires here, because remember, we've got this incredibly slow no blow air fan, which I'm going to completely change, by the way. But it's on the inside of the case, and it has a tendency to like bang into the components that are on the inside. I look at the inside space as mine, and the outside is how I push the air in. It wasn't always like that, but when you get older, you get crotchety, and it's just the way things are. So, let's zip over here. Anytime, camera. Thank you. Okay. 1,000 in peak, our 1,000 in average, our 5-watt slug in reverse. Let's show you drive first out the hop. Hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2, and of course we're on 15 volts. So let's turn the volume up on the radio. Turn the amp on. Preamp is working for sure. So we're dead keying about a watt. Let me shut the amp off here real quick. We'll spin that meter around. Let me back this out just a hair. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So now we got our 5-watt element reading forward and average. Keying a little high. So let's back that down to about a watt. So new audio, about 7-8 watts bird. Out of the old and venerable Bench 2950. So now we're going to convert over to this meter, and when it runs to the corner, that's 1,000 watts peak. So it slams it in the corner hard. We'll go up to 2x. For the uninitiated, the ones that don't know, let's see, I thought about this the other day. Hopefully this is still working. Okay, so right there is 1,000 watts. Okay, so the next big tick mark is 25, or pardon me, 1,000, 12, 14, 16, 18, and then 2,000 watts fully deflected. So let's see what it does peak power now. Hello, not teabag, 1,400 watts worth of love. Of course, remember that this is a 2 drive and 4. And 2 drive and 4 means lots of drive in 2 final section. So be conscious of that. Understand that you can only put about maybe 25, 30 watts into this amp. Period. Don't do anything stupid like, well, I took my 955 and I drove it into it and then it blew up. I don't know why, I have my dead key way down. It's the peak power, man. Don't do anything silly. 35 watts max drive. So like a Cobra 29, something like that is what you want. Swing that into this. And it's probably going to last you a good long time. Now, I'm going to upgrade the fan yet. But before we go any further, let's shut the amp off. And let's do the rest of our tests. So let's go up here. We're going to look at this 5 watt slug in reverse between the 2950 and the amp. The amp is now off. Hello, 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 hello. That is our pass-through tune. Let's turn the amp back on. Hello, 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 audio. That is our input tune. So we've established by all test parameters that this thing works and is working good. You know what? I did not check the variable drive. Hello. Good. What I'm doing is I'm moving the variable resistor through its arc of motion, and I'm focusing up here on our input attenuator, right there. So this is all the way open. Hello. That's all the way down. Hello. All the way back to open. And listen to me, gentlemen, when I tell you this. This is from not a decade of experience working on this stuff. We don't like to use these as how to set our dead key. You use the radio. You adjust your radio input. Select your dead key. This is the most useless thing in the amplifier. Because if your whole system comes down to adjusting this knob, and it gets bumped by your kids, your grandkids, your nephew, your cousin, your man lover, I don't care, your girlfriend, I don't care, and everything goes awry because of this knob, and that's on you. And the other thing is that this is not a true attenuator, this is a voltage divider, how this works in the circuit. It makes it so you don't want to put more than about 5 watts through it. As soon as you got to turn this knob, now you're limiting yourself to about 5 to 15 watts worth of drive. It'll hold together for a hot minute, but it's not going to last. These potentiometers are really stupid expensive. And they're like $20-something now for the American-made ones. The Chinesium copy is even expensive at 15-something bucks. So be mindful, be grateful. Patient. Okay, I am going to get rid of this clear thing that does not move hardly any air. And the product of that, the byproduct of that is some of the staining that we see on the board here, where the solder has been cooked up through the flux. The flux is cooked up through the solder. It's not so bad here because I washed it all away, but this whole box is just full of it. And yeah, I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, but there is some heat soaking that has taken place here. That, and there's a lot of clutter in the front of this box. Okay, so that means we're going to have to move some CFM through it to make sure it stays cool. This isn't going to be a pretty backlit fan like what's on here now. It's going to be a regular ass black fan that moves air. These things are worthless. I built with these for a little while, and I had probably a dozen amplifiers fail because I was relying on those fans, and they just don't work. They do physically move air, yes. They do physically spin, yes. They do have lights in them, yes, but they don't move enough air and they don't spin fast enough. So then we end up having boxes melt down and parts break. There's almost $1,000 worth of transistors in just this end of the amp alone. And there's an additional another $125 here. So $1,125 worth of transistors, or have a pretty blue fan. Okay. So here we are at 15 volts. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Fan doesn't slow down. It doesn't even care. But we got a ton of air movement through the box now. Audio. So 2 driving 4. So we know fully chooched out that this thing is going to pull about 125, 130 amps. The amp gauge shows 64. And what people always get wrong when they look at that amp gauge is that it is a RMS reading amp gauge. It is not peak. So you take from that what you want, but if I was to put this thing in sideband for just a minute, it would run way over there and load that meter down. So keep in mind, whatever you hook this to, make sure that you've got at least 130 amps worth of supply. So my work here is almost done. I've got one thing left I need to do. This thing is starting to look like a Xforce label, Donkey Stomper label. You guys know me. I'm not one of those kind of guys that's got to erase history, or I'm not into bashing other companies, businesses, or people. This is not the way I roll. The work speaks for itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a sticker right there. And forever and now and the rest of time, we'll have this YouTube video to look back at and go, this is what it looked like when it left here. So, on that note, Xforce 2x4. I guess Donkey Stomper's been in it at some point or another, but little BBI rebuilt technology, and it's back to chooching out 1400 watts peak, which is a lot. Please listen to me when I tell you. 25, 30 watt radio, 35 watts max. Be kind to the Toshibas, and they'll be kind to you. Gentlemen, big thanks to my Patreons as always. Without them, they're the ones that kind of help keep the lights on around over here, and I'm grateful for everybody that comes and helps the channel. It stands out top notch in my mind. Also want to throw a big shout out to, of course, Excess Power, Siglent, MechMan alternators, Bird watt meters, coaxial dynamics elements, and the most important bit, big thanks to every single one of you. I appreciate you tuning in and following along with the little saga. I'm out of here. You guys have a good weekend. We'll see you. Click, click.